بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. This is our ongoing series called Meet the Community, and alhamdulillah, we are honored to have our guest today, Zainab Naqvi. We have the same questions that we have for our speakers every week, inshallah, and we look forward to seeing her interview and finding more about her, inshallah. So jumping right into it, why don't we start with the first question, and which is, what is it that you do?
Okay, well, first off, thank you for having me. Who's that? So, welcome everyone. My name is Zainab. I'm 19 and currently I'm studying nursing. Inshallah, I want to become an ER nurse. So, see inshallah where life takes me.
Now, may Allah bless you, inshallah, and make you successful in that in this world and the next.
And currently I work part-time at a doctor's office, which most people probably already seen me there, but that's okay.
That's where I saw you. I was very surprised. So how long have you been in the MCNJ community?
So I've been in the MCNJ community for about 14 to 15 years now. And I'm 19 now, so I was like a little kid starting off. It was actually funny because when I was younger, like my family and I used to live in North Jersey, and there was a masjid there, Harrison Masjid, and my mom used to take my brother and I, and we used to read like Quran there almost every day. Then my family, like we ended up moving to Central Jersey, and people were like telling my parents, oh, you know, there's no masjid down there, what are you gonna do? So we would still go, even if we lived like Central Jersey, we would still drive like 30-40 minutes to Harrison, and we would go to the little masjid there. But then and around like 2005, 2006, like, you know, MCNJ was made, and my parents were like, all right, we're just gonna go to this masjid. So my mom used to drive us to basically Quran class Monday to Thursday, 5:30, 7:30, and then Fridays for Friday lectures after Maghrib. So we were here like 5 days a week at least. Always the masjid.
So what are different ways that you've actually contributed maybe in the past? What are some programs that you were in? And I think you mentioned some of them. And what are some programs that you are part of now?
So currently I am a teacher at the Sunday school on Sundays. So I did the kindergarten to ninth grade. I completed all that, and then I became assistant teacher for 2 years, and then I started teaching right after that. And then also my sophomore and junior year of high school, I did maktab for 2 years. Mm-hmm. I volunteered there. I did Girl Scouts for 4 years, so freshman to senior year. I went to Sisters Club for about a year, but because of my work schedule, like I had to stop. But I've been able to replace that. Just last year, we started our own Sisters YM. So I played a role in like starting it up and, you know, marketing and getting girls to start coming, and like financial wise and everything. So alhamdulillah, that's been going like really good.
MashaAllah.
And during Ramadan, I've been able to come help out a lot, like on the weekends for iftar. You know, I'd see all like the aunties and stuff, and they'd be helping out. And, you know, a lot of like a big influence on what made me start volunteering and doing the activity is my mom. You know, she was the one that like kind of pushed me, was like, oh, you know, like go try this, go try that. So she helped me like put myself out there and kind of like step out of my comfort zone in a way. So she played a really big role. And, you know, like seeing all these like sisters that like help out during Ramadan and throughout the year, you know, it like it inspires me so much, because it's just like they, you know, take their time out of their day, and, you know, they have their own families and their own kids, and they're putting in so much work for the masjid, you know, especially in Ramadan. You know, they're here, sometimes they're here till like suhoor, like from Maghrib the previous day to suhoor the next day. So like that's been so like so much motivation, you know, to like volunteer and help out.
No, mashallah, some of the sisters are extremely dedicated to a lot of the programs that we have going on, and it's always appreciated. You know, may Allah reward them and increase their rank. Ameen. So changing gears a little bit, what do you enjoy doing?
So what I enjoy doing, recently I've been, because of quarantine, I've been getting into like baking and stuff. I did a little online shopping here and there. Going on walks, like I would really recommend it to anybody to go on a walk, really. I know brown parents, they're all like, oh, you know, like, don't even step outside. But my mom was like, no, let's go. Let's get out of here. So I would really encourage people to start going on a walk. I think that's been so, like, eye-opening.
I agree. I think walking, hiking, biking, they're just getting outside. I think it's a really different experience, especially during a time where we can't meet with others.
Exactly.
Well, considering you've been involved in you've been actually part of the programs in terms of like you were the recipient and you've been able to contribute in different ways. So you have actually seen both sides of what's going on in the masjid. What are some more things that you would actually like to see happen at the masjid?
Some things I would like to see at the masjid would definitely be like a lot more like volunteering opportunities. I feel
Hmm.
like here and there we have some, but they would just be like once every like 7, 8 months, maybe even longer than that. And I feel like especially for like I think youth wise, because I know a lot of kids like people a lot of people are in high school and they kind of need like those volunteering opportunities also in a way.
Hmm.
And I feel like I kind of wish there was more opportunities. So like on Sundays, I used to go to Majd al Wali and I used to help out with their sandwich making program. I don't know if you heard about it,
Yes.
but it's, yeah, so I would go there on Sundays. It was like twice a month. And Sister Shamnam, she used to run that. And she used to be like really, really organized, really like well set. Everything used to be like laid out. We would set up and everything. And I think that is what something that like was so like shocking. I was like, oh my God, like we need this at our masjid, you know? I
Hmm.
think just sometimes like timing issues can be a thing because there's so many like activities on the lab, um but I think that like having more like opportunities for like not maybe not even like youth, like maybe it can be adults or something like that, like maybe one weekend we can have adults or something, and maybe just sometimes doing something like that, like the sandwich making, if we made like food or we made like lunch like packs and actually physically going and delivering them, because I've done that once. I did that with Girl Scouts where we had the hunger van come in and we set up like we made lunches and then we went to Newark Penn and we just handed it out to random people on the street, and it was like so eye-opening and it was just so like crazy to see how many people like are hungry the other day. We didn't even care like if you were homeless or not. It was more like if you're hungry, just here, take it, like you're
Yeah.
hungry. So I think
No.
just something like that, an experience like that where people can actually see, or even like doing a clothing drive, like every season, because every year, sometimes, we either throw away clothes or we have stuff that like we don't really want. So maybe like doing that. Cause I remember we did that like a really long time ago,
Mhm.
but I think something for now and every season, or maybe every twice a month or something like that.
Okay. Well, I mean, I definitely see what you're saying, and I agree with you that there should be more volunteering opportunities. I think part of the problem is that it's very difficult for us to define what the roles are when we say volunteer, because a lot of times when we say volunteer, it means like a person who's going to move the chairs and the tables, right?
Yeah.
Right. And not everybody wants to move chairs and tables.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I remember my kids, they were volunteering for a program here in the masjid. It was Sahel and Saad, and Sahel is 11 and Saad is 9, and they were going to help at a food pantry.
Mm-hmm.
So the people who ran the food pantry, my kids were there, and they were like, Baba, we want to go. I was like, listen, the guys who are in charge are here. You don't need me. Just talk to them directly. So they said, hey, we want to do it, but we don't feel like going anymore. So they're like, why? So my kids were like, well, we don't do anything. We just kind of go with you guys, and we don't do anything.
Yeah, that's why there should be like a set plan, I feel like.
Yeah. So no, but the response, one of the brothers responded, yes, you do. So I was sitting there like, okay, who's being the child here? He- you
or,
know,
or
like
something.
he's saying, I don't do anything, and then the other brother's just trying to guess you do. I'm like, okay, this is not really encouraging. The second brother, he was like, yeah, you don't have the skills to do what we need you to do. And I was just like,
Oh my God.
I'm just sitting there looking like, wow. The only thing I could think of is like, okay, all right, here, Sahel, Assad, let me take that. Okay, here's your volunteer spirit, crack.
Poor ruthless.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm just sitting there looking at it, and then I said to them, I was like, "Hey, do you really think this is a good way of encouraging them to come? Do you think they're going to come in the future if you
Right.
treat them like that?" So I definitely do agree that we need to have more volunteer initiatives, but I think part of the problem is that we don't have like a list of responsibilities. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to volunteer, these are the 4 jobs, for example, that we're going to have at this place. What are you willing to do? And then once we fill that quota, that's it. We close it. Because the problem is, so right now there's a soup kitchen that happens once a month. I don't know if you're aware of it.
Yeah, I'm aware of it.
Yeah. So the thing is, it's for a lot of the NGIT students, it's become like the wave. So you you have like all these students who come and show up, and there's like there there are literally sometimes more people organizing and distributing the food than there are people receiving it. You know, so,
True.
So and it's just
But I
it's
think that's why it should depend. Like maybe if we do it like once or twice a month, it should depend. Like, okay, like this date, we're gonna just have children, or like not children, but like
yeah.
kids are aged like
Mhm.
10 to 15, and then like another weekend we'll have like
Yeah.
ages like 15 to 20, and then just keep doing that, and then we'll have adults. So I think just doing that like
Yeah.
once or twice a month
No,
usually.
I listen, like I said, I think it's great, but you know, just having a
Yeah,
list
as long as there's a
list of
set plan.
jobs, you know,
Yeah.
having a list of jobs and having, you know, a number of volunteers. Like, oh, you know, how many should we have? How many do we need for this project? So if we need like 20 people, then we take a list of like 30 because we know 10 aren't going to show up, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
But like,
it's kind of like that.
yeah, just something like that. But I think what the thing is was when I was in Girl Scouts, like we did the hunger van, and the
Mhm.
hunger van, like much like the brother, like he was so like helpful, and he was like, and every single one of us had a job. There was like 20 of us, and we
Yeah,
all had something to do. Either one of us was making like sandwich bags, one of us
mashallah.
was like making the bread, like making the lunches, cleaning like off fruit or stuff like that. So there was always something to. That's why I think that's important in having, like, when it comes to like volunteering opportunities, like everybody should have something to do, so they
Yes.
don't just come and they're just like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like there's
Yeah.
not.
No, and it's discouraging for the next time, right? So if you hear,
Exactly.
for example, like if you went to the hunger van and then there was like three girls who weren't doing anything because there was no job for them, what are the chances of those three girls coming back,
Yeah, exactly. And
right?
I
So,
think even that same thing with like, if it were for like the block parties or like or
mhm.
any Eid like event, like, so like people, like, sure, they'll help out with one thing and then other people are busy with another thing, but then they're just like, oh, like they'll come and they'll see like, oh, not much is going on, they'll just be
Mhm.
discouraged. So I think just like something that's can actually get them to do work and they enjoy doing it, so they can
So
learn and benefit off that.
on that same vein, would you be interested in starting a program twice a year?
I'm sure. I'm
Not even like
Are
twice a
you
month.
gonna, if you want to work with me, let's do it. Let's start it.
All right, call us.
I'm done. We
Listen,
can start
you
it.
have the training with Sister Shabnam, so
Yeah,
you
I have the
have
training.
right? So you know exactly what to do because I have no clue. So
Exactly. Yeah.
if you're willing to come up with like, you know, I'm not saying like, you know, extremely detailed plan, but
Mm-hmm.
just a general rough idea, and then go ahead and email us, inshallah, and then we can get it in the works and we can start.
Also, do something like, I know in the past we've done for Girl Scouts we did like the blood drive like
Yeah,
twice, and mashallah, and even with the Boy Scouts did it too.
yeah.
So it was like, I think it was really successful those
Mhm.
times, each time that we done it.
No,
I think.
mashallah, there are a lot of opportunities. All the different groups, you know, in the subgroups within the community, everybody wants to contribute, and there are different ways to do that.
Exactly.
I've reached out to Helping Hand. I've reached out to Islamic Relief. You know, all of these different organizations, and basically I tell them, I was like, okay, listen, we can provide the manpower and we can give you the facility. You guys take care of the logistics because that's not our specialty. Like we can't do any of that. I don't know how to bring homeless people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which is like kind of like why it's like what I like about YM is because like YM, it's like, it's just us, or as like girls
Yeah,
or sisters in charge, or even for the guys, I'm sure like
yeah,
we have the control of like
mhm,
what we want to do. We
yeah.
just have to like work out the logistics, and like depending on like how your
Mhm,
work ethic is,
mhm.
um it it would work out like perfectly
No, no,
fine.
mashallah. I mean, and YM is a great example of that. You know, what do we do as a masjid? We say, okay, here's the facility. You know, here's the imam if you need him, right? And then you know, you guys go ahead and tell us what time you need, and then, you know, we're here to work with you. And I
Yeah, and
think,
I think, like a
yeah,
lot of this like experience that I've done and I've gone through, like it's definitely like made me who I am, and it's
mhm,
definitely like showed my, like, I guess my morals and my beliefs, my values. Like the masjid, like I was practically raised here. Like I was a little kid because coming here, and I'm
yeah,
like almost 20, so it's like crazy to see how like I have changed and I've grown personally, and then the people around me, because this masjid is what like I've made like the bestest of friends here, and I still have these friends to this
yeah,
day at this masjid. And I feel like a lot of kids, like, or a lot of people, like, at least in the society, like me growing up in the society, like I'll see people like be one person one place, and I'll see him another place,
yeah.
and I'm just like, you're not the same person.
No, no, Allah Mustaan. You know
But I
that.
think this is the what like the masjid is about. You gotta come and
Mhm,
just learn new things and try new things, and
mhm.
just learn and grow from that experience.
Yeah.
That's
No,
what
I
I'm.
mean, and the thing is, you touched on a lot of different things that obviously need discussion in and of themselves. Why is it that our kids have these dual identities? How come they're acting like this here and acting like that there?
Exactly.
Sometimes that has to do with the home environment, what I mean, and the different gaps that these kids have, because a lot of times between their immigrant parents, there's a huge cultural gap, and they don't really know how to bridge that.
Hmm.
But I think those, inshallah, maybe we can talk about those in the future, and
Yeah.
maybe have separate talks about those. But I really appreciate your time. Jazakallah khair. May Allah reward you. May Allah make you successful in whatever it is you decide to do in life, in this world and the next. And is there anything else? Oh, I do have one more question. I promise. I promise it's not a loaded question.
Okay.
Who would you like me to interview next?
Oh, maybe next. I would say our very own president, Brother Junaid.
Junaid? All right, I will reach out to him, inshallah. So the thing is, I promise everyone that I will ask, but there's no guarantee that they'll agree.
Okay, well, it'll be a try. It's okay.
All right. Well, at least now I can give him a reference point and be like, hey, listen.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Jazakallah khair. May Allah
Yeah.
reward you. And for all of you listening, please make sure to like, subscribe, and to donate. The link will be in the description below. Jazakumullah khair. Wallahu alam. Wa sallallahu ala khairi khalqi nabiyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.
All right. Jazakallah khair.